Hello guys and welcome to Kinchi. And today we're going to be telling the story of a man named Dieman, stuck in a post-apocalyptic world and in a perpetual death loop. He didn't know why he was in this death loop or how to get out of it. And he starts off at rock bottom, missing an arm, naked, no money, and in a vast desert in a planet or a universe he has no clue about. With no idea how he got here, he has nothing to do but scan his surroundings. Even though there's a storm going, he's got some sight. While he couldn't find much, he happened to notice a small town in the distance. Maybe he could head there and get some clue about what's going on. So he started running toward the town. While running, he noticed he's very hungry, so getting food is a top priority for him. He passed by another starving vagrant running by. He wasn't sure where he was at, but knew hard times must be upon them. As he drew near the town, he noticed it was built out of rustic metal and other parts that looked like spares. At this point, he knew he was in for a harsh time and dreaded what would come. The people at the gates let him pass through freely, so perhaps the world wasn't as cruel as it looks. As he wanders through town, he realizes this world must have some sort of currency, and he would need that to get food and other supplies. So desperation calls for a desperate act, he thought. Perhaps stealing would be the easiest way to get this money. So he decided to check the buildings. This one was occupied and was told to leave. The man followed him. He was confused, but he turned away. This one was also full. Perhaps getting money and stealing wouldn't be so easy in this world. He found some sort of guard shack that was empty, so he searched the nearby barrel. Inside, he found a wanted poster for a cannibal grand wizard. It was for a good amount of money, but something he knew he could not do right now. He found an urn, which he was sure had some good stuff in it, so he waited for the guards to pass. When they did, he crouched down and opened the urn and found some items of value. Unfortunately, as he was picking it up, he got spotted and attacked. This was not good, as he was naked, so he tried to run for it. They were chasing him down, however, and he was not quicker than them. He was getting hit and bleeding, but he knew he had to escape. He did not know what the consequences of these crimes would be in this world, but he knew they were probably bad. And in the midst of a giant fight, he thought he could escape, but unfortunately the fight had ended as he ran by, so escape was futile. He was knocked unconscious, and after this, his consciousness would fade in and out. He remembers being brought to some sort of prison and encaged. However, he was still unconscious, and his health was not getting no better. And as he laid on the floor, bleeding out, he knew no one was going to save him. This would be his fate. Bleeding out in a cage. The criminal justice system in this world was very cruel, to say the least. And as he lied in the cage, bleeding out, he died. And as Dieman closed his eyes for the last time, they opened again in the desert. This is the same place he started out in. He has no clue what is happening. He does, however, remember his previous life. so it appears he is in some sort of death loop. He sees a vein of iron nearby. Maybe thievery is not the best idea in this world, but perhaps manual labor is. He starts mining the iron. It'll be slow going as he only has one arm left. He does not remember what happened to his left arm, but the phantom pain still aches. He still tries to use it to mine, however, to no avail. And while I don't have many memories of what happened before he got here, he needs to think of a way to get out. He needs to think of something. There must be some way to break the death loop, right? It took him a couple hours to get even a single piece of iron. But hopefully it brings him a decent haul if he can bring a couple in. And some strange creature attacked him amid mining. He knew he had to get away, for this creature is far too strong for him to take on. He grabs the iron and attempts to at least have some profit from his work and heads to town. The creature, however, decides to spare Dieman. Perhaps his luck is truly turning around, for it could have easily killed him. It will be slow going back to town, as his left leg is hurt very badly. But bad luck strikes again, as a group of these creatures see him and knock him down, rendering him unconscious once again. As Dieman lays in a pool of his own blood, bleeding out, with no one coming to save him, he died. And just like last time, Dieman awoke in the strange desert. As he makes his way back to town, it appears there's some copper right outside. Perhaps it would be safer than mining out in the middle of the desert. At least he has some walls he could run to. And as he toils away, he finally gets his third piece of copper. Hopefully, with this, he can buy some food. His stomach is grumbling. He heads to the shop with hopes that he has earned enough for some food. He sells the copper for a decent amount. Immediately after, he heads to get some food. The food is expensive, so a lavish meal is not feasible. But he does buy some meat and devours it as soon as the shopkeep hands it over. With his stomach somewhat appeased, he understands that manual labor is probably the best bet for now, and heads back to mine some copper. In the middle of mining, he sees a fight going on in the distance. He might be able to get some valuables from the loser if he is lucky. So he bides his time until the fight is over. He runs over to the unconscious soldiers. He grabs some gear from them that actually seems to sell for a good amount. Maybe his luck has turned around for the better. As he heads back to town, they seem to see the gear was looted from their friends, and they attacked him once again. He knows running is his best bet, so he's trying to drop some weight to hopefully be able to outrun the foes. And as they strike Dieman, they hit his legs immediately, rendering his mobilization very limited. and once again he is rendered unconscious. And as they bring him back to a cage, Dieman, thinking he is going to be left for dead, they actually tend his wounds. And as Dieman sits in his cage, wondering what he's going to do, he learns some very bad news. He is now enslaved. And as he tries to follow his slave masters, they seem to think he's escaping and attack him for seemingly no reason, and put him back in the cage. And after finally waking up from unconsciousness, he thinks, what is he to do? The only thing he can do really is try to escape. And after many failed lockpicking attempts, a guard approaches. So he quits lockpicking. The guard sits down, so his attempts to escape will have to wait. And the guard couldn't came at a worse time, because the slave masters are here to pick him up. Maybe if he could have got out, this could have been avoided. Dieman does not know where they're taking him, but he does know one thing. This is the worst possible outcome for him. If he dies, the death loop restarts. But if he's enslaved for 30 years, well, that's 30 years until the death loop restarts. So he knows he has to escape or die trying. As the sun comes up and they walk near a bloody battlefield, the people decide to run off and loot some bodies. Dieman knows this is a great opportunity to escape, so he immediately takes off in the opposite direction. The shackles are slowing him down. Hopefully it is still enough to get away. But unfortunately, one soul soldier sees him escaping and chases him down, and starts shooting arrows at him. And with one very lucky, very unfortunate shot, Dieman is down. But, of course, not dead. He mends his wounds. The man carries Dieman all the way back to a slave mine. But when Dieman awakes up from his unconsciousness, he knows immediately what he must do. He must escape. For him, slavery is much, much worse than just death. And after many failed attempts, he finally unlocks his shackles. But unfortunately, the door is beyond his means, so he'll have to make a run for it when he's out working. And Dieman struggled with back-breaking labor for many days as he waited for the right opportunity. He sees the guards fighting those strange creatures. Maybe this is his one and only chance. He knew he must take it. He throws the shackles off and makes a run for it. They are hitting him, but he will not give up. He knows he needs to escape. Unfortunately though, it seems like the distraction wasn't enough, as he is knocked unconscious once again. And after he awakes, he decides to pick the locks again, even with the guard right in front of him. What's the worst they can do? Kill him? But the guard didn't seem to notice, or just didn't care. So his shackles are once again unlocked, and now he bides his time once again. And Dieman seems to catch a break, because the very next day, the creatures attacked again. This is a chance. There seem to be more creatures this time, and less guards. So, he does what he knows he has to do, takes off his shackles, and makes another run for it. Hopefully, this time will be the one. They start chasing him down immediately. Dieman doesn't think this will be the one when he gets away. Unfortunately, he did get hit in the leg, so he is slowed down a little bit. He's not hobbling just yet. And as he's about to fall down from the attacks, the guard attacks the creature. This might be it. He might get away. And he jogged off a long distance. With no one chasing him, he is now free. Unfortunately, in this world, it seems they remember slaves. So if anybody catches you, well, you're a slave again. So you really need to lie low for a while. Dieman decides he needs to get out of this damn desert. It's been nothing but hell for him. So after dodging a couple patrols, he finds some downed soldiers. Maybe he can get a disguise. After looting them, Dieman makes a risky choice. He needs food to get away from the desert. And a backpack, ideally too, to carry it. So with his salvaged goods, hopefully he can sell them and get what he needs. But then he falls. His injuries from getting away that he left untreated are bad. But he gets up and decides to medkit. Now he needs to go back and get some food. And hopefully not get spotted as a slave. His plan works. He sells the goods, gets a backpack, and some food. Hopefully, he can leave this damn desert and get to somewhere greener. And maybe even start farming. And with that, he leaves the city and makes his way to greener lands. It will be a long, treacherous walk. He'll have to avoid any groups that may spot him as a slave, and also enemy creatures. And as he's running through, he sees a group, which unfortunately spots him. This is unfortunate. But he knows what he must do. He must drop some weight to try to get away. Unfortunately, he did not. Luckily, the man leaves him, so he gets up and makes his way off. Luckily, the trip after that was uneventful, and he ran a long way, and he went into another town. As an ex-slave, he is a little bit harder to notice, but not impossible. So, he decides to find a plastic surgeon, and hopefully change his appearance enough to where he won't be spotted again. So he makes his way up to the doctor, and for 500 cats, he can change his appearance. And with that, he is a lot harder to be detected as an ex-slave. So maybe his slavery days are in the past, and a brighter future is ahead of him. And as he makes his way out, a group of hungry bandits try to attack him. He knows he's not going to be able to get away, so he needs to run back to the safety of the walls. He takes some hits and begins to limp. This could be it for Dieman. He is knocked unconscious, but luckily for him, the hungry bandits are attacking the mob ahead of them. So he wakes up and immediately begins to medkit himself. And with them distracted, he limps off. He finds some land green enough to grow food, but he needs to get some crops from a town. So he heads to the local settlement. So he limps his way to the store. So he buys some food and then sells a few things he picked up along the way. He buys some building material. Hopefully, he can go out and get him a house started out on the green pastures. He finds a decent spot and starts constructing his shack. It may not be much, but for a man who just escaped slavery, it's more than enough. And after a long time, he finishes his shack. Building with one hand is not that easy. He decides to mine to earn some money. If he can get enough, he can get some plants to grow and actually start living life. Unfortunately for Dieman, he seems to never be able to get a break. More hungry bandits start to attack him. He tries to get away, tries to get to his shack, but gets knocked out. They just take his food though. So, if he can wake up, he can at least live another day. He does get up, but with no med kits, he's soon to bleed out. He has to head back to town and buy some supplies. Unfortunately for Dieman, his luck ran out. He was spotted as a slave and gets knocked unconscious. Not new to this, he knew what he must do. He picks the locks and gets out of the cage. But with guards all around, he really needs to find a suit or some sort of disguise. And with no idea what to do, he tries to just walk out. But that, of course, doesn't work. He's hoping that one of these people will hit the wrong place and kill him. That is much preferred to slavery. And once again, an unconscious Dieman is carried to an enslavement camp. This one, however, so much worse than the last. As Dieman was carried to his cage, he knew that this would be a hard place to escape. It might actually be impossible. He might die in here. But that's not stopped him before. And with a one pick, he unlocks the shackles. So now, If he could just find some way out, some way unguarded or distracted, maybe they could be free again. He attempted to escape, but it ended poorly. And as he's mended, he knows he must keep trying. For his escape attempts, Dieman gets put on the pole. Not knowing how long he'll be here, this was unfortunate, but he started picking anyway. With his shackles picked, and it being nighttime and a lot of guards are asleep, he decided to make a break for it. The gate was heavily guarded, so he couldn't just walk out. However, if he could get a guard uniform from the shack, maybe he could walk out and make a break for it. So he started sneaking, hoping nobody would spot him. It was risky, but it had to be done. Dieman's heart stopped as he saw a guard. Luckily, the guard didn't see him. The guard looks like he went to sleep. Maybe he's just got lucky. Luckier than he's ever gotten before. As he sneaks in, he can't knock him out. But maybe one of these chests have a uniform. So Dieman goes to search him. But for some reason, the guard out of a dead sleep heard him crawling. This escape attempt has failed. But Dieman, ever resilient, decides to try again. He opens the door, gets out, and is immediately confronted by the guards again. But they didn't see him. Dieman was in a pickle. He did not know what to do. So, he could search one chest from there, but he gets knocked out once again. With that last escape, Dieman knew there was no escaping this place. He did not know how long he would be here, but he knew one thing for sure, that when he died, he would go back to those unending sands. Thanks guys for watching the unfortunate story of Dieman. His story does not end here, however. The death loop has not been broken, and he will be back. If you want to see more, please like the video and subscribe to get notifications. Dieman will return.